Wildlife safaris have always promised adventure, offering people the rare chance to witness majestic animals in their natural habitat. For generations, traditional safaris involved off-road vehicles, tour guides, and up-close encounters with creatures that most people would never see outside of a zoo. But in recent years, a new form of safari has emerged, one that doesn't require setting foot in the wild at all. Drone safaris are rapidly growing in popularity, using high-tech aerial cameras to observe animals from a distance without human presence. Supporters claim that drones allow for a more ethical, non-intrusive way to experience wildlife without disturbing the animals or damaging fragile ecosystems. With just a few taps on a smartphone, a person can control a drone from miles away, capturing breathtaking footage of elephants, lions, or even rare bird species. The idea seems simple. Less human interference should mean less stress for animals, right? But not everyone agrees, and the debate over drone safaris is growing louder as more companies and tourists embrace this technology. Are drones truly a step forward in ethical wildlife tourism? Or are they just another way for humans to exploit animals for entertainment? The argument in favor of drone safaris is largely based on minimizing human presence in delicate ecosystems. Traditional safaris often involve large vehicles, noisy engines, and human foot traffic that can disrupt wildlife and alter their natural behaviors. Off-road driving in some parks has been known to damage plant life, compact soil, and even interfere with migration patterns. In contrast, drones can observe animals from above without leaving tire tracks, scaring herds, or interfering with their environment. For conservationists, this presents an opportunity to study animals without causing the stress that human encounters often bring. Drones have already proven invaluable in scientific research, tracking endangered species and mapping habitats without physical intrusion. In Africa, conservationists use drones to monitor elephant and rhino populations, keeping an eye on movements to deter poachers. In the Amazon rainforest, researchers rely on drones to study jaguars, capturing footage that would be nearly impossible to obtain otherwise. Drones have also been used in Australia to survey koala populations after devastating wildfires, allowing experts to assess which areas need protection. With so many benefits for conservation, some argue that commercial drone safaris are simply an extension of these ethical practices. Instead of loading tourists into jeeps or helicopters, drones allow them to experience wildlife through a remote-controlled lens, reducing direct human impact. But just because drones remove the physical presence of humans doesn't mean they're entirely harmless to animals. Opponents argue that drones may actually cause new forms of stress that we don't fully understand yet. Birds have been observed changing their flight patterns when drones enter their airspace, suggesting they may perceive them as predators. In some cases, drones have startled herds of antelope, causing them to flee in panic and potentially injure themselves. Even large animals like elephants have been seen reacting aggressively to drones flying overhead, flapping their ears or even charging at them. This raises an ethical question. If an animal reacts to a drone, is it any less disruptive than a loud safari vehicle? A wild animal may not understand that a drone is just a camera. It could interpret it as a threat, leading to unnecessary stress. There's also the question of privacy, though it may seem strange to apply that concept to animals. Imagine living in a remote wilderness only to have a buzzing mechanical device hovering above you, filming your every move. Would an elephant or a lion feel a sense of intrusion, even if the drone keeps its distance? It's impossible to say for sure, But some experts believe that repeated drone presence could alter natural behaviors over time. Predators may learn to associate drones with potential threats, disrupting their hunting patterns. Prey animals might become overly accustomed to drone noise, making them more vulnerable to real aerial threats like birds of prey. Even mating rituals could be affected if drones become a regular presence in certain habitats. Beyond ethical concerns for animals, there's also the issue of how drone safaris impact local communities and economies. For decades, traditional safaris have provided jobs for local guides, rangers, and conservation workers who rely on tourism for their livelihoods. If drones replace in-person safaris, could it lead to job losses for those who depend on ecotourism? A fully remote, drone-based experience may appeal to global tourists, but it could cut local people out of the economy that wildlife tourism sustains. This raises a difficult question. Does reducing human presence in nature come at the cost of human livelihoods? At the same time, drone safaris could create new opportunities by making wildlife tourism more accessible to people who cannot travel. A person with disabilities, a parent balancing work and family life, or someone with financial limitations might still enjoy an authentic safari experience through a high-quality drone feed. Virtual reality companies are already experimenting with combining drones and immersive technology to create realistic, interactive wildlife tours. But could this further separate humans from nature, making us more disconnected from the real world? If people experience animals only through screens and technology, does it change how we value and protect them? Conservationists worry that virtual safaris could make people feel less urgency about protecting real habitats. If you can see a lion through a drone camera, would you still feel compelled to donate to conservation efforts or visit national parks? Some argue that physical presence in nature is what drives people to become passionate advocates for the environment. Others believe that the accessibility of drone safaris could actually inspire more people to care about wildlife conservation. This debate ultimately comes down to a larger question about the intersection of technology, ethics, and nature. At what point does innovation stop being a tool for conservation and start becoming another form of exploitation? If drone safaris can be done responsibly, keeping safe distances, limiting noise, and respecting natural behaviors, could they be the future of ethical tourism? Or are they just another example of humans using technology to observe and control nature without fully understanding the consequences? The truth is, we are only beginning to understand how drones affect wildlife, and long-term studies are still needed. Some reserves have already implemented strict guidelines for drone usage, limiting flight times and requiring permits for commercial operations. In certain parks, drones are banned entirely to prevent any risk of disturbing animals or interfering with conservation efforts. But as the technology improves, it's likely that drone safaris will continue to expand, raising new questions about their role in ethical wildlife tourism. Will future generations look back on traditional safaris as an outdated, intrusive practice? Or will we recognize that even remote-controlled tourism still carries ethical responsibilities? For now, the only certainty is that the way we interact with wildlife is evolving, and every technological advancement comes with both promise and risk. The real challenge is finding a balance between innovation and responsibility, ensuring that progress doesn't come at the expense of the very creatures we seek to admire. Are drone safaris a step toward a more ethical future, or just another way for humans to push nature to its limits? The answer may depend on how we choose to use this technology and whether we prioritize convenience over conservation. One thing is clear: as we move forward, the choices we make today will shape the future of wildlife tourism for decades to come. Are we watching and protecting, or are we just watching?